Hello and welcome everyone to the Blizzard Watch podcast. I am Liz Harper. I will be your host today. Unfortunately, Matthew Rossi is not with us, having some problems with his internet. So hopefully he will be back next week. I am just humbly attempting to fill his shoes, which is, of course, impossible. But here I am. Joining me this week are, of course, Joe Perez.
Hello,
Joe.
everybody.
And a new guest on this podcast, Eric O'Day, who has been doing a lot of great Transmog content on the site, which is, of course, my favorite kind of content. How you doing, Eric?
Hey, Liz, great to be here. Yeah, always fun to write about all the different things you can go and run old raids over and over again. Just get that one exact right piece.
And I kind of feel like you and I were in the same place at some point last week, which was collecting a whole lot of Noble Garden eggs. So many
eggs.
I think I did 750.
I was doing the passive thing where you would just sit on a place where 4 or 5 spawned and you could just click on them while you were doing whatever else. It wasn't fast enough. And I had to actually spend the time to run all around Razor Hill over and over again with the ducks and the other bunnies. And it's just, and it still wasn't enough. I didn't get enough eggs this year.
No. I got all the new stuff. It took a commitment. It took a real commitment to egg farming. But, of course, Noble Garden is already over. It lasted a week, and you could potentially need hundreds and hundreds of eggs to get the rewards, even if you were just getting the new rewards. That was 500 eggs. So many.
There's only so much time to click on eggs.
Yeah. I had a hotkey for opening my eggs, because you can't click on 750 eggs in your inventory to open them up and get chocolate out. But of course, this week we have a new event in World of Warcraft, because one event last week was not enough. We have Children's Week just kicked off, and again, it's only lasting for a week. But we've got some new content this year with some new orphans, which seems like a weird thing to celebrate. Yay, orphans! But it does mean new rewards. And I know you're working on a post about that, Eric. Can you give us an overview of what's new this year?
Yes. So in Dornogal, there is another set of orphans that you get to hang out with for, maybe an hour or so each, and bring them around to all the things they want to do. There's no earthen children. So there's an earthen, I think they're a caretaker in training is their official title. But you get a Nerubian, an Arathi, a kobold, and a goblin. You do them one by one. You don't get the reward after each of them like you do in some of the other past iterations in other cities. So you go one to the next, and each one wants to go to a different zone. And then at the end, you get to pick from the new rewards. There's 3 new pets. There's a lynx, which adds to the handful of baby lynxes that we have. There's a hyena with goggles, which is adorable. We also have like 6 or 7 hyenas with the goggles that have come through Undermine so far. And then there's the helpful workshop bot, which actually is the Nerubian orphan has created it in the story as you go through and bring all of these orphans around. And it's my favorite one. It flies around after you. It's got a little satellite dish that lights up and spins around. There's also a couple transmog weapons and shields that they look like toys. It was hard to write the post because they are not toys. They are transmog appearances, but they're supposed to look like toy wooden sword, shield, and axe. And one cool thing was that you got a couple of different appearances of the same one, a couple different items with the same appearance, so that you could use the sword as your one-hand sword or a dagger or an offhand. So it wasn't as limited as, for someone who only plays a rogue to say, I'm not going to actually use this axe. That's not the spec I play. So yeah, the first thing I did was take that axe dagger, categorized as a dagger, but it's clearly a hatchet, and I equipped it on my mage. So for the first time in 20 years, my mage got to have an axe by his side.
Can you actually go in and get all of the rewards this year? Because previous Children's Weeks, it's like you had to pick one.
So the best part is that they've streamlined it a little bit, making it so that when you finish taking your orphan around and you get back and you drop the orphan off and, give it its last toy or ice cream or whatever, you get the choice. Each one of the different orphans in the capital cities or Shatrath or the ones they've added over the years, they have their own subset of the pets and some of the rewards. And this year they added a new, it's not a currency, it's an item. And it is the well-loved figurine. And so you can just take one of the normal rewards that you would have got for that quest line, or you can take that item, bring it to one of the event vendors, and get pretty much your choice of any of the items across any of the orphans for the entire event. So that's great that you don't need to have one of those crazy spreadsheets to figure out, okay, which ones do I exactly still need? Which ones do I have to go to? Okay, I have to pick for this. I can only get one of these two this year. So you can just get that item and get whichever one you want. For some reason, it might be unintentional, but two of the past rewards, the one that's the same model as the Black Stalker and one of the snails, they're not in the list of pets you can get with that figurine. Maybe we'll see them added in a day or two because it was unintentional. But by my best calculations, you can do 5 different orphan fun times with a character and get 5 of those tokens and pick 5 rewards. But you can also do it on as many alts as you want. So it's sort of the opposite of that Duck Disguiser. We talked a lot about how you can only get 1 Duck Disguise per year per character. This is the opposite. You can do 5, and then you can log on to another one and do 5 more. So I actually just went on and I did the one in Orgrimmar over and over again for the rewards that I wanted, because it was the one that was mostly the fastest. You only have to fly around a little bit. Dragon riding made it so much faster than it would have been in past years. And that way you don't actually have to go all the way to Northrend and fly around the whole continent.
So this one sounds pretty fun. I mean, I am always a fan of collecting everything because it's there. It's there. You have to collect it.
It is a good primal instinct to collect everything. It cannot be helped.
It makes up for the lack of, I missed some things in Noble Garden that I really wanted this year. So it's great that I've already got everything that I need from this event, and I can stop hanging out with the orphans. I mean, they're great, but they're really needy and they're a lot. So I did my part, and I will let other adventurers take over for the rest of the week. And yeah, it's also only until Monday. So it's really, it comes and goes, and if you miss it, you got to wait till next year to get all that stuff.
Yeah, it would be nice if these events, give us 2 weeks. 2 weeks would be great. Diablo does the same thing. Diablo 4 does these really short 1-week events, and it's like, wait, I'm busy this week. I'm going to miss the whole thing. So
they could overlap.
A little extra time, guys. Yeah.
There's no reason why they couldn't overlap a week. Have them both be 2 weeks. Have some overlap. The orphans can help us find eggs. It's fine. They probably like that.
Of course, the only thing is they've been decorating up Dornegal for every event, and the orphans have these huge banners with rainbows on them, which are fabulous. So, I mean, it's like there's a decor fight going on, but still, you can make them last 2 weeks. So it'd be okay. We could do it. So yes, that is going on right now, and we actually have more Transmog-related news because Blizzard just announced the May Trading Post rewards. And I wasn't very into the April Trading Post rewards, so I've saved up all of my tendies for May, and I'm gonna buy as much of this as I can. There is a hedgehog mount, just in case you needed to ride around on a hedgehog. There's a little fox costume, which you can wear. I don't know if this is culturally insensitive to Volpera, but it's a little hood with fox ears. Maybe you could wear it as a Volpera. I don't know. I don't know what you do.
Double foxception.
Whoa. I mean, Joe, have you looked at any of these? Are there any that you're like dying to get?
I mean, I need the fox costume. I'm going to be 100% honest. There's a 0% chance that I am not doing everything in my power to get that. I mean, it just looks so adorable. I want it in real life.
Yeah. I think Anna said the same thing. It's like, okay, yeah, but also when can I wear this? When can I just wear it?
I'm going to be honest. The Harvest Hog mount scares me a little bit. we were talking on the pre-show about some of that Uncanny Valley stuff. This is a weird looking mount because it does not look like a hedgehog to me at all. This looks like a teddy bear and a rat had a very illegitimate child, and is just staring at me with that face. Yeah. The heroic half shell is actually also on my list too because I can now make a Ninja Turtle transmog. And there's nunchucks. Like, this is absolutely intentional. They want Miss to be Michelangelo, or there's a large Renaissance katana. We're going to be Ninja Turtles. There's going to be a Ninja Turtle transmog night in the guild for 1,000% sure. And then
not everybody can be Raphael.
That's fair. I don't want to be Raphael. I want to be Donatello. Dang it.
I'm a Leonardo.
And then Weechi, because a little tiny like Chihuahua dog in a shark costume is a happy place for me, and I need this.
Yeah, this is a new one. The Chihuahua is customizable, which is the first real time that we're going to be able to choose a bunch of stuff about how a pet works.
Outside of Pepe.
Like.
Yeah. I mean, Pepe was a weird edge case.
Yeah, as Pepe was the exception to the rule because like there's a million costumes for Pepe.
Yes.
That's true.
So what are you dying to get this month, Eric?
My problem is that I saw that there was a hedgehog mount and I just had 5 seconds of paralysis where I thought, do I have a hedgehog mount already? Because I don't need to have every mount, but I really, really need to have every category of mount. And it's been a lot of years, and there's a lot of mounts in the game where I used to be able to know off the top of my head, like, I don't have a tiger because I mostly play Horde, and so I need to get, like, when there was a tiger available from, I want to say, Zul'Gurub, I farmed that once I could for a really long time until I got my first tiger. And now it's like, I might have got a hedgehog a couple years ago and don't see it that much, and I don't think I do, but I had to check. But it turns out, no, this is, as far as I can tell, the first hedgehog that's being added. So I probably will get the spring harvest hog. But I also saw that there was added to the game files a summer harvest hog and an autumn harvest hog and a winter harvest hog. So if you've got other stuff that is just popping out at you from the May trading post, there will be other hogs coming later in the year. I really think that there'll be trading post rewards. If not, they'll be, in the game some other way. Those models eventually come out. But I think that I probably will go with the spring one. No, I'm going to be Ninja Turtle. I probably need to get all the weapons too, because I'll probably change which turtle I want to be from day to day.
I mean, the weapons are pretty reasonably priced. I mean, the most expensive one is the nunchucks at 120 Trader's Tender, I think. No, the katana at 130. But still, you could collect a lot of weapons here. So I think this is a good trading post. This is a good trading post month. I'm very excited to go and just dump all of my tendies on this. And I could be a gnome Ninja Turtle. It's going to be great. It's going to be so good.
I'm just excited that Weechi is the reward that you get for the month, because initially it looked like it was going to be 600 tenders, which is a lot for a pet, but not one that has different cute hats and you could change its fur color and things like that. But now that you just get it, I feel like that's really a good decision. That was the way to go.
Infinitely better.
Yes. So also in customization is player housing. We got a little news on player housing this past week, including some hints on where we will get things. Blizzard has been, I won't say cagey because they're making a lot of posts, but I feel like we're pretty far out from player housing still. So they're keeping things general, kind of philosophical. Have either of y'all dug into the what's new in player housing?
A little, just kind of like surface level, like confirming that there will be stuff everywhere. You'll be able to get stuff in old raids that will drop, just like when they added pets when they first got added to the game. They went back and added some in the Wrath of the Lich King raids. The example on the blog is that a crate will drop from one of the bosses in Seed of the Triumvirate. It's like, well, now I gotta go get that crate because it's a thing I can get in an old dungeon that won't take me that long. So yeah, I'm happy about it. I really enjoy that.
And of course, trophies from things you've done in the past for like achievements you might have on your account, like the Onyxia head that we've all been wanting to hang on our walls. I think at this point it probably smells and is a little rotted, and maybe I don't want it in my house, but it will be an option. What about you, Joe? Have you dug into this? Is there anything you're excited about?
So there's something I'm excited about, and then there's something I'm not excited about. So the thing that I'm excited about is they're doing exactly what I asked them to do, which is essentially it's what WildStar did, and it's what City of Heroes did at the end for base decorations. It's you get like items, decor, or whatever you want to call it, from everything. There's options for professions, there's options for achievements, there's options for raids and drops and just doing content. So just playing the game rewards you with items that you can then display in your player housing. And I think that's really, really important. WildStar did that, like just doing random stuff gave you these rewards. So I think that's really, really cool. I really like that. I like the idea of unique decor where you get something that is unique, like let's say a Nixia's head. Obviously, you're not going to have multiple Nixia's heads in your house. You're going to have one. So being able to place one of that makes sense to me. The thing that I don't like, and I'm kind of hoping they maybe revisit this, and if you're listening, this is my feedback. Decorations are only placeable if you have enough of them, which means in their example, if you want to place 4 chairs, you have to collect 4 chairs. So my problem with this is if I want to have a dinette set and I want that dinette set to sit 4 people, I have to collect 4 different chairs or 4 of the same chair repeatedly in order to have enough to put them down and the table. And normally I wouldn't complain about that because it's like, again, you got to go and do stuff. But then that's the thing that I don't like doing. So let's say I get that chair. And again, I don't know, this is all speculation because they haven't really revealed too much detail, but follow me on this journey. If I have to kill one specific boss in one specific dungeon and it's a guarantee drop, then I have to do that 4 times to get enough to get that decor. If it's a possibility of a drop and not a guarantee, then I have to kill that boss however many times before I get enough of them to do what I want. Whereas WildStar and City Heroes and other games that let you decorate have like levels of rarity, right? So common items, you get a common item, you just have as many as you need. In case, like, and I'll tell you all to go look at Reinbeer Road on YouTube, rest in peace raids. But the beer sign was a common item. And you just got it, and you could put as many as you wanted on your property because that was just the way they did it. And I think they might want to look into maybe a little bit of that because if it's like a regular, common, everyday, just like wood stool, do I really need to farm it if I want to make a tavern? Do I have to farm it 30 times? Or should it just be something that I can place, X number of, like up to a certain amount of them because I have it unlocked, and then keep the rare items gated, right? Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say there?
I'm hoping that there's some they'll do that in some way where there'll be a vendor where you can buy a basic stool for like 2 silver, and that way you can buy 30 of them if you want. And it makes more sense to say that you can only have a couple copies, like a couple however many copies you have that you actually own for the more rare stuff. They haven't said that explicitly, but I agree that would really be a better system than saying, okay, yeah, you've got this 1 chair, but if you want 3 more that match, then get farming.
Yeah, and I think maybe part of it is driving player engagement, and part of it is enforcing entity limits. But you can enforce entity limits without forcing people to do monotonous tasks. Or, like you said, like having a vendor where, let's say I unlock something and it's common, then there's a vendor I can just go and buy more of it from because I've already unlocked it. Then that's fine. I just want to see them maybe be a little looser in that, because I can tell you that I'm going to probably need a bunch of like weird random little things that I'm not going to want to farm a bunch for, because that's something that would make me not engage with this as much as I would otherwise. So those are my 2 cents on it. I still think it's cool, and I'm glad that we're getting it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how they refine this. And there's my feedback, Blizzard. You're welcome.
I mean, it does seem like they want this to be accessible and also have rewards for a whole variety of types of players. So it's
mhm.
not like you have to do just one activity. It's also not like you have to go back and kill a specific boss. It feels like they aren't trying to do that, but you're right. We don't have quite enough details. We don't have the full picture. They haven't published everything. And that also means it's a good time to get them feedback while this is still being shaped and developed. So, if there's something any of you out there really want or really hate, now's the time to leave that comment, to make that feedback.
Yeah, I love that we like get to go back to Ice Crown Citadel to farm to get something, but if 25-player heroic Lich King drops the Frozen Throne at a 5% rate, and you just got invincible after farming it for 10 years, and then in the course of farming the Frozen Throne, you get 3 more invincibles. I feel like there'd be too many stories like that where that would be considered bad.
I may
Bad
yeet
design.
myself into wilderness at that point if that happens to me.
Yeah, I don't think that's what they want to do, but we're going to have to see how it plays out. I mean, I think it's nice that they're adding things to all types of content, and there will be things in low-level content, high-level content, like everywhere. So you're rewarded for doing different things, and even rewarded for having done things in the past, like trophies from previous achievements. But we'll have to see.
I'm waiting for the item spam the first time we log in, and it starts rewarding you for all of your past stuff. And instead of like spamming like the guild with like random achievement stuff, I'm waiting for it to like disconnect you, because it's just, we've been playing this game for a long time. We have done a lot of things. I am 100% expecting to like have to log into my character in increments if they do anything with the history stuff.
I mean, even if it crashes my game 10 times, I'm going to be so happy.
100%.
Here's your
I'm
house.
so thrilled.
Here's your house. You've already collected 47% of the things you could possibly put in it.
Yes.
If my number is that low when we get there, I am going to be very surprised, and I'm going to question how many like what I've done with all these hundreds of hours I've played in this game.
So let's get into something that's a little, unfortunately, less transmog related, a little more game mechanical related, which is that on May 13th, we will be getting what Blizzard calls a turbo boost in the War Within Season 2, which I take issue with the phrasing. A turbo boost? Your turbo what?
Well,
I mean, this is...
It makes sense in context of the fact that we're drag racing through the Undermine. So, like, it makes sense with the season, right? I get it. I see what you're doing there, folks.
It is a very goblin-y way of putting it. They do enjoy making everything a little mechanical and very fast. So, yeah, still. But one of the things we'll be getting in this is the puzzling cartel chips that we have all been wondering about, and that Blizzard has been... they've definitely been cagey about this one, about what's happening with the puzzling cartel chips. Which, these will let us buy any piece of raid loot to be... this is our bad luck protection. If you've been playing for this long in the raid and have not gotten something, here is your chance. So... I know I'm probably going to finally get my House of Cards, because that seems to be like the trinket everyone is after. What about you two? Are you looking forward to getting these puzzling cartel chips and buying some loot?
I am going to get the Eye of Kazan so fast the minute it's available, and I will be very, very happy. And then it will inevitably show up in my loot box that week after I purchase it, because that's how it always happens.
Oh, yeah.
After that, I'm actually really looking forward to transmog pieces. I know a lot of people are going to be doing this for upgrades, but we just talked about transmog for like 20 minutes, folks. You know what you got into here.
No, it's good. It's good.
I want the rocket backpack so badly for my dwarf that it's not funny, but it's always a better item for everybody else in our raid group, so I keep passing on it. And I would absolutely love to purchase it, if for nothing else, to turn myself into a set of power armor and pretend I'm in Fallout WoW. Because I already have the transmog picked out. I have all the weapons picked out. I'm ready to go. I just need that, and my transmog is complete. I need it. But I'm excited for this. I really like when they do this. I like the idea of currency for raid items that you maybe not necessarily have seen. A couple ones that we haven't seen, and I'm curious how they're going to do this with the purchasing of them, like One Arm Bandit. One Arm Bandit has a ring that is pretty much good for every class, depending on what stats it drops with. It is a raid drop that has random stats. Are we going to have random stats when we purchase it? Or is it going to be something where it just gives us every variety or permutation flavor of it, and we can purchase the one we need? Which, again, I'll be very interested to see that. The ring from the Coliseum of Carnage, very rare drop rate. I'm really happy that people will be able to go and buy that. The weapon and shields from Muggsy and Gallywix, the trinket from Gallywix, all those things that are rare drop, that are the Gallywix exclusives or whatever they're called. We haven't seen a whole lot of them, and I like the idea of somebody saying, I can just go buy this. I can go buy Wonderwall, and it'll be very, very, very nice for me to have. I can finally have this thing that I want. I like that. I like rewarding players and giving them more ways to get the things they want. It feels good.
So, yes, you'll be able to get 3 of these ships in the first week and immediately buy a piece of raid loot. The loot will only be available up to the difficulty you have played to. So, if you're running LFR, I believe that's the kind of gear you'll be able to buy. If you're running Mythic, that's the kind of gear you'll be able to buy.
You have to have been...
What about you, Eric? Are you...
Real quick, you have to have beaten the boss on that difficulty level. So you can't immediately go and buy something from a boss you haven't beaten. So, like, you can't dip your toes into Mythic and kill Rexy, who's not a difficult fight in Mythic, and there's usually a ton of pugs going, and then go buy a Mythic track, like, whatever weapon or whatever from later on in the raid. Like, you can't get best in slots at Mythic track. You have to have defeated the boss. So that is a very important caveat there. Sorry, please continue.
What about you, Eric? Is there anything you're going to rush off and buy as soon as these launch?
I haven't been in a raid above LFR difficulty for, I used to say a decade, but it's been a lot longer than that now. It just hasn't fit with my chunks of available gaming time that also tends to be frowned upon when you need to be interrupted for like just a minute here and there. So and especially in the War Within with Delves and to a lesser extent story mode, I haven't even really been keeping up with it. But if it does apply to the LFR, then that will maybe bring me back in a little bit more, because the loot from LFR kind of, it just, the times that I've run a wing and gotten nothing, and the rolls aren't even close. Like I rolled for 2 things and it were both an 11, and I came in like 16th place on what I was actually might have been an upgrade for me. If I can actually just accumulate it with that bad luck protection and grab 1 or 2 things for, at this point probably Transmog, because it's not going to be an upgrade for me that's going to matter. It might make me think about whether I want to actually jump back into that to LFR.
So yes, that's going to be exciting for raiders. And one of the great things is that right now we have so many ways to play. Like, you can go in and do those raids, but as you were just talking about, delves are there. You can do delves up to a pretty high level if you want to, and you can get lots of great gear there and unlock slots in the vault to get more great gear. So there feels like we have more ways to play and gear up than ever. And this is kind of a raid-centric catch-up mechanism. But also the Transmog, whether you're going to use it or not. Transmog. Yep.
Must collect it all.
I need to complete so many Transmog sets. Too many alts, too many things to collect. I don't like to do the multiplication and the actual numbers anymore, because I know I'll never get it, but I have to try.
Yeah, I haven't played my monk for a few raid tiers, and I'm just getting back into it, and it's like, oh no, now I have to go back. And, I played up through Battle of Azeroth, so I have up to those collected, but after that, nothing. So I have a lot of old raids to go run. So it's on the to-do list with so many other things. But another thing coming with this turbo boost is you will be able to upgrade your hero and myth track gear to a higher level assuming you're up there with some hero or myth track. So all hero and myth track items, including the ones you might purchase with cartel chips, can be upgraded 2 more levels, going from 6 level upgrades to 8 levels of upgrades. Though, of course, you will need the crests and this and that Valor Stones. But there's also no more cap for crests, and Valor Stones will become warbound. So you don't have to... My question about Valor Stones becoming warbound is the cap being removed from Valor Stones? I'm not actually sure, because that cap always throws me.
I don't know that they've mentioned.
Yeah, I don't know that they have either. So
I would think
we will see. But
it would have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I have
if you
11 characters with 220 Valor Stones, and if they get squashed together, then I'll actually lose some. Seems unfair.
I'm actually curious, though.
Hopefully.
Well, hold on. I'm curious, though, if it's going to keep the individual Valor caps, but as you move them around, it reduces from your total. So, like, if you send, like, you have a cap that you can earn X many in a season of whatever crests, and then your Valor Stones cap at 2K. Like, I'm wondering if you send stuff to somewhere else, if it like reduces your maximum cap, like you've only earned X number because you've given away X number. So I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see what they do with it.
So also, if you don't do the raids, if none of that applies to you, there are also more drops from delves. There are going to be more crests dropping from delves. Delver's journey progress will be increased. There will be more Valor Stones. Everything is kind of getting a boost in this turbo boost. So that, and also crafted gear has more upgrade levels. So if you want better gear, this kind of improves almost every way that you can get better gear. So it's good. It's good. And it's kind of a new thing that they're rolling out. We've had the puzzling cartel dinar in the past. We had various versions of that. This is just the latest one. But they're adding all of this other stuff, which brings you a lot of other types of upgrades. I think it's pretty cool. So we have a week and a half to wait on that one. But it's coming soon. Coming pretty soon. So let's maybe get away from Warcraft and Transmog. Maybe. The newest season of Hearthstone Battlegrounds started today. Eric, you play Hearthstone, don't you?
I do. I have not gotten that much into Battlegrounds, but
yeah, Battlegrounds is one of my favorite ways to play because it is one of those game modes where you can jump in and out, and it's something that you can kind of idle play, if that makes sense. Like, you can start a game and half pay attention to it, which, I mean, my viewing of it like that, it may be why I don't hit, like, the highest, best ranks in the mode. But it's always a fun time, and it's easy to play casually, and it's totally free. All of those things, super appealing. So, new season dropped today. Huge minion shakeup, so that'll shake up the meta if you've been playing in the past. And also adds trinkets back to the game, and those will shake up the gameplay as well. So, if you are into that, it's now live, and if you are not into that but are curious, it's free. So there's no cost to jump in and give it a try. So also, just announced, is the next Hearthstone mini set. It's not coming until May 13th, a date that sounds really familiar, doesn't it? But it is on the horizon. It is themed around a Fyrak and a Myrdrasil called Embers of the World Tree. So, if you're not playing Battlegrounds, you play Constructed, Eric?
I off and on. I haven't been too much into it in a year, or more measured by expansions. I think this is the 4th expansion that I've kind of like dipped in, but not really, tried to climb the ladder or do anything super fun with. But I always try to keep up with a couple different things. I always try to, pick out some of my favorite cards that come out because honestly, I was the same with Magic the Gathering when I was a little bit more into that. I didn't have a lot of people to play with growing up, but I just liked looking at the cards and the art and seeing what kind of things you could do with it. So this looks like a pretty cool mini set. There is Fyrak as a card, cast 20 mana of fire spells at enemies. That's so many fire spells. And it's a neutral card. It's not even like a mage card.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough for a lot of classes. I mean, mages definitely could hit that. Warlocks could hit that, I think. But like a Death Knight. I don't know that but yes, that's interesting, and I love the mini sets because it is one of the great things. There is no RNG to a mini set. You just buy the mini set. You have the mini set. You have every card in the mini set, so you don't have to hope for luck to get your favorite card. If you like this set, you can just buy this set for real money, of course, because it's real money, for $15, but you can also buy it with 2,000 gold, which you can earn in-game through playing the game without spending anything. So I'm a fan of the mini sets.
Yeah, I always, like we said before, I tend to, if I'm not trying to win every single game and climb the ladder and get to the highest rank I can, I just try to pick out what am I going to have the most fun with in a given month or season. Yeah. And the DK legendary Volcaros is that one seems like it's most up my alley. Doesn't sound like it's maybe going to impact the meta that much, but it's an 8 mana and you can spend 10, 20, or 30 corpses to gain that many stats. So it starts as a 5/5, but you can just summon it as a 35/35 with, I believe, Taunt and Rush, which that would make me feel great, even if I immediately lost the game on the next turn because it didn't actually do what I think it's going to do. That would probably be my thing that I'm going to do that I would have the most fun with. Yeah, so I am tempted to pick up the mini set and kind of jump back into Hearthstone and do a little bit of gigantic fireworm summoning.
And it's a really fun theme they have going right now. Sometimes the themes of the expansions are like, it's okay. But this one's a fun one. So that is coming out on the 13th, which is actually pretty fast for a mini set. But there you go. More cards to buy. Lots of fire spells to cast. Our next topic coming up is Diablo 4. Am I the only person in this room who plays Diablo 4?
Currently,
yeah.
Yes. I just uninstalled it before the recording, actually.
Yeah, you only got so much hard drive space. I mean, what are you supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
Season 8 has just started, and it's all about Belial. We last saw Belial, I'm pretty sure, in Diablo 3, where he spent all of Act 2, 3, messing with us. So now he's coming back to Sanctuary for Diablo 4 Season 8, and the whole season is about stealing the powers of various bosses and using them for yourself to defeat more bosses. That's it. That's the whole thing. Belial is also going to be on the boss ladder as a super most powerful boss in the game, but there is a chance that when you're fighting other bosses, Belial might, like a miniature version of Belial, might spawn and drop loot. So all these are good things. But I have to admit, I was more excited about this when they first announced it than I am now, because initially, when it was on the PTR, the boss powers were just so powerful. These were going to be killer. They were going to be really exciting to collect and use because they would completely overwhelm gameplay, if that makes sense. But the Diablo team, after the PTR, did nerf most of them. And I understand their reasoning. They were saying this is dominating everything. It doesn't matter what build you are. It's like, okay, I have this boss power set up, and that's what I'm playing. It doesn't matter if you're a rogue or a necromancer or sorcerer, because you have this power. And they didn't like that, but I also think it makes the boss power sound a little less exciting. So we'll see how that feels in gameplay. The devs have also slowed down leveling, which I'm also not thrilled about. But I have to admit, at the same time, Season 7, you were leveling so fast. And there was so much loot all the time. So Season 8, the leveling will be slower, and legendary gear will be rarer, but magic and rare quality gear will be stronger. We'll have more affixes. So I'm kind of iffy on this. On one hand, it might make the whole... go for it.
It's always tough to hear we're going to make you level slower whenever it's an ongoing thing that you're always having to level. You never want to hear that.
Yeah, especially for a seasonal game like this, where it's every season you're starting at level 1 again. So I'm not thrilled, but it may feel better to play. So I'm trying to keep my mind open. I'm going to give it a try, see how it feels. Boss power is the big thing, but they've also completely reworked the battle pass with the new reliquary system. We talked about that some last week. They also reworked the season journey to add season blessings, and they kind of reworked the reward tiers there. But if you're interested, jump into the game and check it out. Bosses to kill, new powers to collect, and a new reliquary system to earn rewards. The other thing about the new, not battle pass, the reliquary, is you can earn rewards on it even if you aren't playing the season. So you could take your Eternal Realm characters and earn rewards that are in the reliquaries. So desire if you don't like doing the seasonal grind and starting over. So that is an option for everybody. So let's see. In other game news, we just learned about EA and a new round of layoffs that hit and canceling the latest Titanfall game. Is anyone up on this? Has anyone been looking forward to this Titanfall game they've been working on?
Yeah, Matt and I have been talking about it a lot on the podcast. The untitled Titanfall game. Titanfall was a fantastic game. Titanfall 2 is an amazing game. The movement system from that game is what allowed them to make their battle royale, simply because people loved it so much. And people have been eagerly awaiting Titanfall 3 or whatever the next Titanfall game was. So this is a real kick in the teeth. And the number of people being let go is right now being reported at somewhere between 300 and 400 from the main line, which includes 100 or so at Respawn. And that's really scary as well. I don't know. They claim they're making targeted team adjustments and all this other stuff, but there's not a whole lot of information forthcoming. I feel really bad for the gaming industry as a whole, for the people, not the corporations. I want to make that perfectly clear. Because like we were just talking about what's the last time EA did something truly fantastic and then they turn around and do this. And it's like Titanfall would have printed them money. And so they're canceling something that would have printed them money because so many people have been waiting for it. The game industry and the people that are in charge of it don't understand the games that they are in charge of, it just seems like. And this is just more example of it. So, I don't know. Sad days.
And what EA has said about this is, as part of our continued focus on our long-term strategic priorities, we've made select changes within our organization that more effectively aligns teams and allocates resources in service of driving future growth. Which,
growth of what?
That sounds... Yeah.
You neutered
this.
You neutered BioWare. You took a whole bunch of that stuff out of there. Now you just fired another 300 to 400 people. You took a chunk out of Respawn. Like BioWare and Respawn were part of your divisions that were just making money hand over fist when they were given the opportunity to do so, and were giving the resources on the marketing team to actually market their content properly, which you didn't do with Dragon Age, by the way. Like. You could have been doing this so much better. The only people to blame are the executives. And sorry.
It's a lot of people losing a job. 300 to 400 is a lot.
I will say that EA has placed at least some of these people in other divisions and has given individuals time to apply to other jobs in the company. So, but yeah, it's still bad. You can't really sugarcoat this one.
No, I just don't understand why these companies are adverse to like continuing on with making games that people want, and then cutting those games and then moving on to stuff that people don't want because they think it's going to make them more money. Like, how do you not understand this? Make games people want to play, and people will shove money at you. Like, I want to go on the rant about American McGee's Alice and the fact that EA is still sitting on the rights to that game, so we will never get the third game of the trilogy because EA just refuses to do anything about it. They won't make the game and they won't release the hold on the IP. So I guess the heck with us, I guess. I don't know. EA makes bad decisions, and honestly, if all those people went and founded all the people working on the games went and founded their own game studios and made spiritual successors to all the games that they worked on, I wouldn't lose sleep over EA losing all that talent. I'm not in a heartbeat at this point.
I mean, maybe we can look at the silver lining that maybe these people will go on and make other games independently. But, starting up an independent game company or joining an independent game company to work on things is not a sure bet these days. It's hard times in the gaming industry.
Yeah, but it's also hard to be at one of these major players
Mm-hmm.
where you hear your project seems to be getting off the ground and going well and there's demand for it, but some other completely unrelated project underperformed last quarter, so your whole team is cut and your project is canceled. That's to have it be through entirely no fault of your own is just extra a kick in the teeth.
And I admit these last two news items we have here, Anna added to the list, so I'm not. It
was not Anna. It was me.
Either of these. Oh, it was you. You're adding these things, so I'm gonna let you talk about them, Joe.
So there's a couple interesting tidbits that I saw as I was going through the greater world of stuff. First is 8-Bit Do, or 8-Bit Do. I never know how to say that name. Makers of fine game peripherals like game controllers and retro game controllers and stuff like that you are likely familiar with, have recently stated that, and this is some bad news, folks, they are no longer shipping to the U.S. from China. Yes, this is in part with the current political climate and trade stuff that is happening. It doesn't change the availability of stuff that is already in the U.S. warehouse, but I wanted to report on this at least a little bit or mention it in case people missed it, because if you're on the fence about grabbing one of those 8-Bit Do controllers that you've been eyeing or maybe thinking about, now might be the time to do it, because we don't know when they're going to be shipping to the U.S. again. So just something to be aware of. The next item is about an indie game that I found absolutely fascinating. I love retro clone games, and I don't mean that clone as in like they're just a copy of another game, but I mean games that do stuff like mimic 16 and 8-bit game styles using modern sensibilities, modern game engines, modern game design so that it runs on modern hardware. Case in point, there's a Rocky Horror 16-bit side-scrolling adventure that just released like last year. Absolutely fantastic game. And a chiptune version of, the Time Warp is absolutely as fantastic as the original. This is something that popped up. It's called Voivod Nuclear Warrior. It's currently on a Kickstarter. It's what it can lovingly be called a metal band video game adventure. Voivod is a French-Canadian metal band that apparently is getting a video game made about them in the style of all of those old games like the Aerosmith game and all the other ones that we grew up with in like the late 80s, early 90s. It's a side-scrolling adventure. It looks like it's done in 8 or 16-bit. And you're using the power of metal and adventure to fight weird bosses that look like they're straight from their album covers. And this is the type of stuff that I really like to see happening. And I think stuff like this needs to have more attention put on it. I don't know anything about Voivod before this, besides the fact that they're a French-Canadian metal band. And I didn't know that this game existed, but now it has my attention because, again, this is really cool indie stuff. This is stuff that a major studio like EA or any of the else wouldn't have greenlit unless there was like tons of money being thrown at it by a third party or by a person that wanted the game made and said, we'll license this for you. We want you to do it. So like seeing this is really, really cool. And it looks like it has the chops of potentially being a side scrolling, it's either going to be a platformer adventure, or it's going to be a Metroidvania adventure. I didn't read what the specific genre is besides adventure game, but I'm really interested to see what they do with it. And it's something that I will likely try. It will get my 20-minute, 2-hour pass. So I'm in for it. I want to see more games like this. And I'm hoping we do. I'm hoping more indie developers get to make fun passion project games like this. And I hope we get a variety of them because I think they're really cool. And I hope they get the attention that they need because I want to see more of it. So yeah, these are just, go ahead, Eric.
It looks really cool just looking at the, gameplay demo or whatever they have. But I have two favorite facts about the story. The first one is the band formed in 1982.
Yeah.
So it's not
they have
like
16 albums. 16 albums. Sorry, go ahead.
And I believe they have an original member who's always been with them that's still there. The other thing that's awesome is that the studio is working closely with the band on this. So it's not just like a tribute or a, hey, we know these album covers exist and we're using it as inspiration. Like every band member has a role. They're doing like the musical adaptation and they're doing voice acting and play testing. It's really, it's a cool project.
This band is literally as old as I am. But I think it's really neat. So, I mean, give it a shot, or give it a look. Look it up at their VOIVOD, the Nuclear Warrior. See if it's something that you might like. Give them a little attention and give them some love for the craft that they're making. I love the visuals. It really does just scream of like what I thought heavy metal games were back in like the 80s and 90s. So
one of the things that I was thinking about when you mentioned this is, have you played or heard of UFO 50?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that's another indie title, and it has such a wild concept. It is a collection of 50 games.
It's a love letter to Action 52.
It's a love letter to video games, because the idea is that it's based around this fictional video game company from the 80s, and it is a collection of all of the games they've made, and the games progress through the eras. So you get like every genre of game, every style of game. They're all new games, but they all come together in this crazy story that is really a love letter to the evolution of gaming over the decades. It's a wild one. And again, this is the sort of game you're only going to see from indies. This weird, wonderful stuff.
I would like to point out, too, that I've played the heck out of this. I'm not going to ruin it for folks, but I will tell you, because this is common, I'm going to tell you how to get there. There is a 51st game in the mix.
Oh.
And if you can find it, it really ties the room together. So I also really enjoy the fact that these all have fictional years of release too. So like you go through and each game tells you like, oh, it was made in 1982, or it was made in 1985, or whatever the case is, all the way up through I think 1989 is the last year. So it's literally the span of the 80s, and each one is made by either very, very small studios, or in some cases an individual, and in some cases that same individual worked on a lot of these games. So like it's a super fun thing, and I like when they do stuff like this. I like small indie games. I love giving them small indie games attention. You listening at home, is there an indie game or a small indie game that you really enjoyed that caught you off guard, or one that you've been watching? Let us know. Leave it below in the comments or hit us up on Discord. I'd love to hear about it. Is there something that you think we would like? Also let us know. Please. I want more indie games.
Absolutely.
Why? There's so many good games. There's so many games I want to play, and there's not enough time ever.
That is the problem. I dominated the pre-show earlier talking about Blueprints, which is another indie game started out by a solo developer who grew from the solo developer thing, but it started out as one person's idea of what they wanted to make, and what they made was something you would never see from a big game company. And that's what makes it so exciting and so interesting. So it's great to see how many little indie games are out there, how many of them are finding success, how many of them are like making it to the Game Awards and big awards like that. Not all of them, but we are seeing some really small titles from independent developers make it into that realm. And because of that, I wonder if maybe we'll start to see bigger developers take an interest in, maybe I should do something other than constantly make sequels. Maybe people want to play games that are different and unusual.
Crazy talk.
I'm not going to hold my breath on that. I'm not going to hold my breath, but it's a thought, because we are seeing a lot of success here.
Yeah, I would agree. But I think that's going to do it for us, Liz. Do you want me to do the thing since you did all the hosting?
Yeah, you should do the thing.
All right, friends.
I've been talking so much.
Well, I do want to thank you for joining us here on this journey. I assure you Matt is safe and no harm has come to him. I really promise that. Blizzard Watch is made possible due to your generous contributions at patreon.com/BlizzardWatch. Your continued support means that this podcast site and community is able to thrive and grow. Blizzard Watch supporters enjoy exclusive benefits like early access to our podcast, a better chance of having your question answered on our podcast through the Q&A and ads-free site experience. If you have questions, comments, themes you want us to go for any of our shows, remember we do have 3 of them. We have Lore Watch, the story of various media. We have this one, obviously, and we have the Tavern Watch imprint for all things tabletop and gaming related that aren't video games necessarily. You can go ahead and send those into podcast@blizzardwatch.com. Specify the show that it's for in the subject line, as well as any special pronunciation of your name. It helps us out in the long run. Really appreciate that. If you want to hit us up on Discord, you can hit us up in the Q and Podcast Questions channel. Same rules apply. If you are a Patreon subscriber, we have the Patreon Q and Podcast Questions channel set aside specifically for you as a way of saying thank you for helping us keep the lights on. And you can go ahead and ask there. We will always look there first, always, every single time. And if you want to message us on Patreon, I can make Liz go get us messages. It's the one thing that I can make Liz do. So you can also go ahead and send those to us there. And then I believe there's a couple other little bits of stuff that we need for bookkeeping here. We are currently doing a podcast survey. We would love to hear your information or your responses to it. It helps us make a better product and helps us know what we're doing is good or enjoyable. And you can find that at http://bit.ly/BlizzardWatchPodcast-survey. You can go ahead and subscribe to all of our podcasts wherever they are found. We are on Acast. I believe we are also on YouTube, which means we're on YouTube Music. You can also find, go ahead,
Spotify and Apple Podcast.
Yep. As always,
search for Blizzard Watch, Tavern Watch, or Lore Watch, depending on what you want to listen to.
And fun fact, if you can't support us on Patreon and you still listen to our content on one of those platforms, give it a like and give it a share. You can also leave a comment on them. A lot of the platforms allow you to do that, and that engagement actually does help us as well. And then we are on various forms of social media. We are on Blue Sky, Threads, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Mastodon at gamepad.club as the Blizzard Watch. I think it's just Blizzard Watch or Blizzard Watch Podcast.
Blizzard Watch and YouTube, we're Blizzard Watch Podcasts.
There you go. And
I've been trying to come up with like a smooth way to say that whole bit in one sentence, and I haven't yet.
Well, it's not jazz. It's okay. But I think that's it. I mean, Eric, Liz, do you have anything else to add?
No. It's been fun.
No, yeah, this has been a blast. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us, Eric, and thank you at home for listening. We'll see you next week.